round 7 of the Thundersport GB Championships for 2017, and it's now time for the Sparklight Racing Golden Era Supersport, a championship that has been rather intriguing so far this year. Dave Grace is on pole position. Hello, Duck. Nice to see him up there. He had a good day here yesterday. Richard Harrison, well, it's all about the championship for him. Third on the grid, Rob Morby, and Rob finally got himself back on the top step again yesterday, so many congrats. Further back, steel frame competitors, of course, last year's steel frame champion number 1, Mark Biswell as well. What I can tell you though as we get going is Rob Goodall, who was the championship leader coming into this weekend, isn't here, and so there's an opportunity for McRae and Harrison to try and get a grip on this championship. We're on board here with John Wright, one of our steel frame riders, in fact steel frame championship leader at the moment, as they make their way up to the banking here at Anglesey for the first time. Just up ahead of him there, Mark Biswell making up a place going underneath the yellow bike in front of us, which is Luke McRae. So Goodall's not here. He's actually helping his good buddy Andrew Windsor, who we've seen out plenty of times this year at the Isle of Man. He said he'll be back for Alton, but of course he's going to relinquish his championship lead. It's going to go as it stands coming into this race. After yesterday's results, believe it or not, Goodall still has a 1-point lead over Luke McRae, who in turn is 9 points clear of Richie Harrison. So it is close as we come into this. Here is Dave Grace, then he leads from Harrison, Biswell, McRae, Morby, someone going a bit wide there. Syd, I have to ask the question, with Rob Goodall missing from this round, it's not the first time, does anyone want to win this championship or not? Oh, massive moment there for Dave Grace, going down into the corkscrew. That looked horrendous. Just lost control of his bike on the brakes there going into it. I hope he's okay.
This bloke just loves hospitals, doesn't he?
Dave Grace goes down big time there. I hope he's all right. Fingers crossed for him, but he was leading the race.
Oh, unbelievable, that bloke. What is going on?
Never mind.
Well, obviously, poor old Richie Harrison's had all his own problems this year, but he's come back with a force this weekend, hasn't he? Unbelievable day yesterday. He had a win and a third place. Yeah, lovely to see Rob Morby on the top step. Obviously Dave Grace had a second. Yes, there were 2 seconds actually. So yeah, he was having a good day and his confidence was high as well. So yeah, it's just, I mean, it's been up and down like a yo-yo, hasn't it? You know, Chris Halliwell came into this class and then he bailed out, and Adam Darnell had a couple of crashes and then he had enough, and it's just like ebbed and flowed like you cannot believe.
It's going to be fascinating because Rob Goodall is going to be back at Alton. Spoke to him actually as we see Dave Grace is still being helped away there. Oh dearie me. Ugh. Dave, what is going on here? I do feel sorry for him. That was a horrendous crash. But yeah, going back to Rob Goodall, he said he can't wait for Alton Park, and it looks like he's going to have a real championship fight on his hands as well, because both McRae and Harrison are going to pick up points here. Now, further back there is number 31, that's Steve Chadwick. But in terms of the steel frame, I should just tell you that the championship standings, despite Mark Biswell going well, reigning champion there in second, number 1, he's not attended every round this year. So he can't win this year's championship. That at the moment looks like it's going the way of John Wright, although it's not by a country mile. John Wright, number 114, is about 65 points ahead of David Langley. Langley out there on the number 65 RAF Motorsports Association at Honda. So that one's not done and dusted just yet. As things stand though, with Harrison now leading this race, you know, a win for him here with McRae, well, second in class at the moment. It'd only be a handful of points between them. Nice to see Rob Morby back, Sid, really is, because
he's back on it,
when we first saw him move up to this class, I didn't think, to be honest, it would take him quite as long to get to grips with it, but we do know that once he's in the mood, he is a more than capable rider.
Yeah, he is, and you know, we both agreed the same thing, but it's you know, it's a completely different discipline, isn't it? You know, the 500s, people who really do well on in the Thundersport 500 don't automatically go out and be fast in another class, and this is a completely different discipline, as I said. With regard to Mark Biswell, by the way, he has attended all the rounds, but of course he had been in the Golden Era Superbikes for this year. Then sort of like halfway through the season effectively, or every now and again when he felt like it, he'd bring his old steel frame 600 back with him. I think it was as a spare bike really, in case he had any problems, just to collect points. But he couldn't help himself, had to go out on it. Last year's champion, as you say, and now he's got it out nearly every time in the last few rounds.
He's going well in this one, that's for sure. A bit further back there, it's all getting a bit messy. You saw Paul Debenham there, Robert Tucker just going a bit wide. There is someone's got the thumbs up, not sure. It says Dayo there. That was the number 71, Damien Davies. So he's gone down, but he's okay. Or maybe a mechanical problem. Right, to the front of this race, Harrison leads from Biswell. They lead their respective classes, and Rob Morby going around the outside at the banking. Now this could be taking precious points away from Luke McRae, and that's a good move from Rob Morby. Number 53 goes through on Luke McRae. So believe it or not, now if the checker flag were to go out, guess what? Going into the final race in Anglesey, coming up after this one, they'd be locked on points for the championship lead. There would be 394 apiece for Harrison and McRae going into the next race at Anglesey. Of course, this circuit doesn't necessarily hold fond memories for Richie Harrison. He had almost what you could argue a career-ending accident here a few years back, but it's going well for him at the moment. I understand that he's had a number of younger followers as well, keeping an eye on things. He's been sent letters saying well done from some of the kids that are watching the races. He wants to say thanks to Sam and Matthew for sending in letters. He's got a fan club, Richie Harrison.
Tell you what.
There you go.
Just another world we just don't understand.
Here is Mark Biswell in second place, but leading the steel frames. Then Morby, McRae in fourth. Just behind those guys then will be the battle further back going for John Wright, steel frame, Ashley Thompson. Number 315, Steve Chadwick, Bridges we saw there, Langley, Debenham, Turner. There is
hear that wind on the microphone there. Did you notice on the front lens of the camera on the grid as well, all the salt that's blowing directly off the sea? Unbelievable. So it's a lot breezier here than you think. It can be very bleak, although we've been very lucky with the weather this weekend, and it is, you know, getting a touch cloudier now, but we've been very lucky.
Well, it's Anglesey, isn't it, Sid? I mean, you know, the weather that you get sometimes coming in off the Irish Sea can be lovely, it can be horrendous. I think we've just about tasted pretty much everything bar snow here at Anglesey.
You only have to look at the height of the local vegetation. You know, like, I mean, there isn't any, which proves to you that it can be a bit bleak. I stood on pit wall, facing into that wind and being grit blasted. So
you've also, Sid, fallen over on the start grid and almost got your head run over by Alex Heaton once.
Yeah, I did.
If memory serves me right.
Yeah, okay, all right. No need to bring that up. That was unnecessary, really.
I shouldn't worry. On that very day, I fell over at the marshal's post at the corkscrew. But there we go. Stories from Anglesey. Richie Harrison here. It is then on his Rap Racing P&C Papers Yamaha, going for glory once more and really in the zone. He's been putting so much energy into trying to win this championship. He's been down the gym, he's keeping himself fit, he's trying everything. He would dearly love for it to all pay off, but Robert Goodall, despite missing this round, will come back firing at Alton Park. It's double points there as well, so it's really, really an important round, and it looks as though they're going to be neatly poised going into that one. Looks, in theory anyway, like this championship between three riders could go to the final round at Donington.
Well, that'd be lovely to see a close three-way battle. You know, when you get a podium on the the championship podium, which is really, really close, right to the wire. It's unusual, isn't it? Sometimes you get the top two or the second two that are really close, but to have all three right on the wire is quite amazing.
Yeah, not happened too often, I have to say, in Thundersport Championships. Very normally going into the final round, it's like a two-horse race, but yeah, three That would be great.
But it's amazing how some of the championships, even when they're really, really closely fought and there's hardly anything between the lap times, how the cream rises to the top, and you know, you get one guy who will shoot away in the points, and he just keeps consistently finishing, you know, in the top 3 or 4 or 5, and just keeps bringing those points back and keeps ebbing away from, you know, the rest of the pack. See how Richie having a look. He's feeling full of confidence here, isn't he?
Yeah, well, the thing is, with this championship, you would argue that Richie Harrison and Rob Morby, we're looking at Rob Morby, Richie Harrison and Rob Goodall are the riders that on their day have looked really, really sharp, but Luke McRae has just been hovering there, picking up solid points. And so despite the fact that all of them standing toe-to-toe, I might not necessarily fancy McRae, you have to say that anything is possible here, and if McRae continues just to rattle at home and get those points, then anything can happen in the last few rounds, especially as we said before, Alton Park. 50 points in each race, there's 2 races, 50 points for the win, 40 for second. You crash over at Alton and you're going to know about it.
That's a tricky circuit. I mean, as is this, you know, although Anglesey is fairly grippy and it can be a bit tough on tyres, it's very tricky because the difference between the air temperature and the track temperature is so vast that it tends to, you go for a tyre choice and it tends to rip them to pieces. And we mustn't forget that, like, these R6s, just as for example, are still fast bikes. I mean, it's not that long ago, you know, 15, 17 years ago, something like that, where these were at the top of their game. And a good rider will finish like well inside the top 10 of the Sportsman Elite 600s on one of these.
Well, a nod of the head there in appreciation for Richie Harrison as he comes across the line. The checkered flag is out. He gets a round of applause as well. The rider from Cleasby, which I think is somewhere near Darlington, far to travel everywhere really for him. Really, really happy with that. Dedicated one of his race victories yesterday to fellow NYRRSC rider Gavin Lupton, who sadly passed away. Nice sentiments for ex-Thundersport rider as well. But he's on it here at Anglesey. A great win for him ahead of Mark Biswell, who wins the steel frame. Morby was 3rd, so 2nd in class, then McRae and John Wright. And there you see a very happy race winner, centre of your picture. He's even got a race shirt there for good measure. I don't know what's going on. Sparklight Racing giving away shirts. Lovely stuff here for the race winners. There's Biswell as well. And also there in the Thundersport 600 Cup, that's the little race for the overflow of 600s there, the race winner, Jeff Booth. We'll be back with race 2 in Golden Era Supersport in just a moment.
Are you ready? Showtime. More bang for your buck.
Here we are then for race 2 in the Sparklight Racing Golden Era Supersport, and this man here, Richie Harrison, that has won 2 races now here this weekend, has come into this race joint on points with Luke McRae, number 16. After 26 races this year, they cannot be split. Just to the right of him on the grid is Rob Morby. Now Dave Grace obviously isn't on the grid, number 7 on pole position after that nasty crash. We send him all the best wishes. Get well soon, Duck. And hopefully we'll have him back just as soon as possible. The lights go out here at Anglesey then. Richie Harrison looking to try and make it another win. Both riders on the front row there struggle to keep the front wheel down, but Harrison it is that capitalises and goes through turn 1 into the lead. Here's John Wright, of course, looking to try and wrap up that steel frame championship this year, although he's just been peeled off there by, that's David Langley, his nearest competitor up the inside. Mark Biswell's further ahead, and Luke McRae also. McRae just doesn't look like he's quite got the outright pace here this weekend at Anglesey compared to Harrison, so this could be a salvage job. Let's just pick up as many points as possible. If he can find a way past Rob Morby, then it's a bonus as they make their way up towards Rocket for the first time. And already, Sid, Richie Harrison has got out front and is trying to establish a lead.
Yeah, I began to wonder whether he was going to... Oh, what's that? Oh,
no, it's Biswell. Biswell's got a problem there. Mark Biswell is out up the hill.
His beloved steel frame has had enough. It said, "Don't give me any more, please, Dad. I've had enough." Yeah, he got a bit of a rubbish start, didn't he, Richie, there? But he pulled it all together and still managed to get the whole shot. So, yeah, Mark Biswell in race 1, by the way, he got what he beat the standing lap record in the steel frames, but it wasn't any good because John Wright actually took the a better time in the steel frame and got the lap record yesterday. But so they're all on the pace, aren't they?
Certainly are. Just looking further back there at some other riders that might be able to challenge, but Harrison it is that has the advantage from Morby and McRae then. Now this is the fight for the steel frame. David Langley, number 65, up ahead of John Wright, and he needs to be there as well. Behind them is Steve Chadwick, number 31. 315 you saw a moment ago, and hopefully we'll see him again in a second, is Ashley Thompson, who's been going pretty well this weekend. I've not heard the name yet, but he's got an orange bib on by the looks of things. And now we're on board with John Wright. It's getting a bit close over there, and there you go. A mistake made up ahead, and he picks off a couple, but he can't quite hold on to it. That's Steve Chadwick who just retakes the advantage there.
Tell you what, old Dave Langley there, number 65. Big shout out to him. Do you know, he's a big high finisher on the podiums. Like, you know, the amount of third places I've lost count of this year. Huge consistency. The Air Force rider, unbelievable lad, doing so well, really.
Well, he looks to try and close the gap down to John Wright overall in the championship. Further back there is number 129. That is Jeff Booth. There's a bit of an overrun, isn't there, Sid, for the 600? You've just got so many of them.
So many 600s, Steve. It's unbelievable. And you just, you know, the Sportsman Elite 600 grid is absolutely jam-packed and overflowing. The pre-national 600 grid overflowing. Had a few spaces on the back, so rather than turn people away, said, do you know what, we'll put them on the back of the Golden Era Supersport grid, which wasn't full, for this weekend, because it's quite a long way to come, Anglesey is, for a lot of riders, you know. So, but it worked really well, helps them out, gives them a go on the podium as well, and everybody's happy, as they say.
Well, we just saw there Luke McRae go past Rob Morby. Now that's quite important for the championship, of course. Him and Richie Harrison are joint on points. We hear, well, that's the way to do the corkscrew. Around the outside for John Wright on Steve Chadwick. But yes, McRae now up to second overall in the race, which means that as it stands, we would go to Alton Park and Harrison would have a 5-point lead. So really important for McRae to try and cut that gap down and not let Harrison do any more damage to him.
Well, you've got to be careful what you say about the old McRae twins.
Good Lord, Sid.
Sorry, I've been waiting to get that one out all year.
Well, hopefully they haven't got a reputation like the Cray twins. But anyway, they're looking to do some damage in the championship, and Luke in particular looking to try and cut that gap down to Harrison. Either way, with a race win here, Harrison would take the advantage, of course, going into Alton. Rob Goodall, having missed a round, would have some catching up to do, I think it's fair to say. He's going to be just under or just over 40 points down.
Yeah, it's quite a big catch up. Although, double points, you got a good result, and somebody else had a bad result. Doesn't take much catching, does it then?
I don't think that Richie Harrison here is going to be ruling Rob Goodall out anytime soon. At the moment, he's just trying to focus on getting the job done here. He's leading this race. This is the battle for second. McRae, number 16, followed by Morby. John Wright now has not only managed to find his way past David Langley, but has actually caught up with these Supersport machines on his steel frame. We ride with him now.
I'll tell you what I do. There is a small spanner that might be chucked in the works. I can't actually say anything about it at the moment, but in regard to people entering the championship late, And there could be a small spanner chucked in the works, somebody who's sizing up to be back in this class for next year, who's not a slouch. So it's, it could play a big part as well. And he hasn't got any mates on either side or anything like that, which would, make him do anything silly. But it's, it's going to be very, very interesting.
Well, there you go. Syd here is looking at me in the commentary box, raising his eyebrows. But
we do like a little bit of tension.
Well, the thing is, it's happened in Thundersport since year dot. We've had riders that have entered that might be either track specialists or might be very, very fast, taking points off when championships can be decided. At the end of the day, it's the same for everyone. So, if there is somebody that comes along and wins all the races, so be it. You've got to then finish second.
Yeah, it's the same.
It is that way. And hey, if you can master a way of winning the race and getting that person in between yourself and
it's
someone
not
else.
Shaky Shane Byrne or anybody like that. Do you know what I mean? But
it's not Jezza McSpreader, is it?
No, it's not. You're not going to go through all the riders in the UK until I say yes, are you?
I've got an idea as to who it might be,
Yeah, I bet you have.
I'll say nothing. Mainly because you told me. Anyway, we won't say anything for now. We'll wait and see what's going to happen. We're going to get, after this is aired, this programme, we're going to be getting Rob Goodall, Richie Harrison and Luke McRae fiercely emailing us trying to find out who this rider is, I'm sure, unless they know themselves. Anyway, at the moment, Harrison in control on the Rap Racing P&C Pavers Yamaha from Rob Morby here. Luke McRae is really going to have to try and find a way past Rob Morby. These are 4 precious points he can ill afford to lose on Richie Harrison in the championship. And I bet McRae's cursing the fact that Rob Morby's chosen now as the time he wants to find his form when there's championship points at stake. Just behind them is John Wright. Now, John Wright can't gain anything in terms of points by passing these two. Steel Frame score their own points, but so he'll be probably careful about how he approaches these two. But if he sees an opportunity to go by them, he will.
Oh, Rob Morby there. I thought he was going to twist the grip off the bars there. He's like widening that throttle back between each gear change.
Oh, tight line taken there from Rob Morby, and that just means that these guys all bunch up a bit. That's going to bring John Wright closer to them as well. Here he is, steel frame rider, quick rider John Wright, and he gets a lot of racing in over the weekend. He's racing in the GP1 Classics as well. Now then, here's a chance. Up the inside there for John Wright, neatly done on McRae.
Oh, that's not going to help McRae at all, is it?
No, that's the last thing he needs, but he might just now decide that he's got in between one. Can I have another nibble now at Rob Morby as well? So they chuck it into target corner and up towards the banking. John Wright is looking very strong here. He's going to take the wide entry, which might just give him the drive on the exit.
I mean, that Honda shouldn't have a chance on Morby's Yamaha, really. I suppose it depends like how much tinkering that they've done with them.
There's Rob Vickerman, just up behind number 14, Brad Davey. Brad Davey, of course, scrapping for third place in the Steelsport Championship. Here comes John Wright then. Rob Morby takes that defensive line.
Isn't he?
And this might work out well for John Wright. He's going to go the long way round. Let's see if that works. Here's Harrison. He's home and dry already. He's about 8 seconds up the road here. And now, here's John Wright. McRae not willing to let him go either. We chuck it into Peel corner. Now, will he go for the same move as he pulled a moment ago? You can see that beautiful Irish Sea over there. Rob Morby is taking some defensive lines, and I tell you what, John Wright, he says, all right, I'll go this way then.
Fair play.
Fantastic bit of riding here from John Wright over the last couple of laps. He's not scared.
I tell you what, he must be something fit as well, you know. The amount of miles that he does over each race weekend, being in both classes, you know, this and GP1 Classics, is quite phenomenal, really. Does take it out of you. These are long races, and with the practices and everything else, and he did practice day as well.
Yeah, well, 8 races a weekend. You know, this is his 8th of the weekend. Blimey, it is a lot, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
7 rounds of the championship so far. The maths soon tell you that there's an awful lot of laps that have been done. Oh, and Rob Morby now loses another place, and McRae has gone up ahead of him. Now that's really important for the championship. They're just coming up on some traffic here. It's Carl Seaton that they're just coming past. And McRae, he's made a great move there through the traffic, and that's helped him build a bit of a gap over Rob Morby. In the meantime, Harrison is about to see the last lap flag. He's just got one more lap. And after a season of ups and downs for Harrison, injury, crashes, the odd win here and there, he is going to be going into the penultimate round at the moment as potentially championship leader. John Wright there just about hanging on to 2nd overall. And 3rd in the race, as you see it, is Luke McRae, but it would be 2nd in class for him.
It's a pretty spectacular ride for John Wright, for sure, and also for Richie Harrison, it has to be said. Although Luke McRae is looking like he's desperate to get past John, although if he's thinking about it, if he really thought about it, he wouldn't risk it, would he? Because he obviously can't even see Richie Harrison now, and John Wright is no threat to him at all. It's in a completely different championship.
Unless he's just had a bit of a mind blank and he's forgotten the fact that John Wright won't take the points off you. When you get the adrenaline flowing, sometimes it's easy to forget. All he's seen is a bike go past him and he wants to go past it himself. Down through the corkscrew we go then. The checkered flag is out in the meantime. Richie Harrison, a brilliant weekend for the Cleasby rider, and he will head to Alton Park as the championship leader. 2 rounds now left to go in this Thundersport Championship for Harrison, and he might just be inching closer to his first ever title. John Wright then 2nd, and that will extend his lead in the steel frames as well. He can go to Alton Park and wrap it up there, the Shrewsbury man. There is Luke McRae in 3rd and Rob Morby in 5th place on circuit. Sorry, 4th place on circuit. There is Morby, in fact, on the podium behind Harrison. John Wright there in the middle, the race winner of steel frame ahead of David Langley and Paul Debenham. And in the Thundersport 600 Cup there, Jeff Booth, Richard Dudley and Carl Seaton. In the championship then, yeah, got them right, that's handy. A 40-point lead then for Harrison over Goodall. He's got 5 over Luke McRae. That is on, with Alton Park still to come. And in the Steelsport, John Wright in control, a comfortable advantage heading into Cheshire ahead of David Langley. And at the moment, Brad Davey just about holding on to 3rd overall. He's 15 clear of Nick Turner. That's it from us in North West Wales. Thanks for joining us for round 7. Round 8 is Alton in Cheshire. We'll see you there.